Okay, this is the General Meeting of Women Painters West in October 2025. And today we have Michael Stearns, who will be talking to us. Kensha, would you like to introduce him?
Yes, thank you. So welcome, Michael.
Oh, thank you, Kensha. Pleased to be here. Pleased to be here.
And I have a little blurb I wanted to read, and I wanted to preface that by saying that I'm excited to see you. I can see that you're in your studio where I've been. I wish we could all be there in person to view the work. It would be ideal. But so here is, by way of introduction, let me say that Michael will discuss how his paintings and sculptures probe existence through vibrant abstraction, material tension, and the interplay of primal and industrial elements, drawing from Rothko's luminosity, Rauschenberg's collisions, and existentialism. He explores how art can evoke the unspeakable, inviting viewers to confront the forces that shape perception and being. So I couldn't have put it in those words, but I think your work is fascinating. And with that, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm really being pleased to be here. And my studio, for those of you who don't know, is in a 3-story, 100-year-old plus warehouse, ex-warehouse in San Pedro, California. And it's about 900 square feet. So it's pretty good sized space.
Wow.
It's probably third gallery and the rest is working space. And as a painter and as a sculptor and a mixed media person, we tend to need a lot of space and storage space, which I do have. In talking about in generalities, I'm a child of I was born in 1940, so I'm a child of the 60s, and politics and social issues are one of the things that I can't stay away from. It seems that those kinds of things kind of subtly appear in my work, or not so subtly, as you will see in some of my 3D pieces. It seems that when I do something that involves messaging or social statements that I really feel strongly about, for some reason I go to the 3D form of presentation rather than a painting. I do use paintings for those kinds of subjects, but not nearly as often as I do for maybe my connections back to our ancestors and our relationships with each other, which I find really interesting and important, and our relationships with our spiritual side. Those things often are what I present on canvas. And sometimes I just do landscapes just because I was at a place that I thought was just amazingly beautiful or touched me in some way. And I felt that the best way for me to interact with that space or recall the energy I felt there was by recreating it in some form, usually in a painting or something along, maybe a mixed media piece, but still on a painting kind of surface. That allows me, I think, to talk more intimately about and show more intimately about how I feel about a particular area. I visit the Southwest a lot. I have a relationship with the spirituality and the tribal peoples of our Southwest. I also visit the Redwoods. Those are my two, let's see if we can't fill up the well again spots. I go north to the Redwoods and I go east to the desert. Two, obviously very distinctly different places, but those are the places that I think I can best touch in with what I need to have to refill the creative side or my emotional well, or just to bring more balance back into my life and to check those connections I have with our Mother Earth, actually. So if we could show some paintings or some prints, that'd be some sculpture, that'd be probably a good time. And if anybody has any questions, Kenshin, they can just pop in. Okay, this piece I call We the People, and this is about as political as it's going to get. This piece is about 5 feet by 5 feet. It's bigger than it looks. It started out to be something else, as I think a lot of our work does. This piece started out to be just kind of an abstract, three-dimensional piece that I was going to put on a wall somewhere, dealing basically with black and white kind of images on a surface. And as I laid out the pieces and started laying them out and creating them, I'd use a lot of cardboard. I used to be a ceramicist when I was in school, and I found that was really kind of harder to work with as far as finding places to fire it and large kilns and those kinds of things. So I started working with cardboard, and I really enjoy the medium, actually. So these are 7 columns. And as I looked at them laying on the floor, I became really kind of frustrated by the fact that it wasn't working well. And I thought, okay, I need to do something dramatic here. And I stepped on one deliberately and just kind of crushed it, because sometimes, when you're working a painting, you get out the black or the white or some color and just start coloring it out. For a 3D piece, sometimes breaking it is a way to start to change your thought processes. And as I did, I suddenly had this feeling that there were 7 of these, which were and there are 7 articles in the Constitution. And I thought, oh my God, this is starting to be now this is all personal. This is starting to be what's happening to our country, as we are starting to attack the 7 principles of the Constitution. And so I created these 7 columns, and the 1 through 7 obviously stands for the 7 articles. The gun that is on the 3rd column and not on the 2nd column, which is the right to bear arms, deliberately, is I found this looks like an old shotgun, but the wood is rotted off. I found it buried in pine needles up in Humboldt redwoods. As I was kind of tramping off trail through the pine needles, my foot kicked this and up it popped. And I thought, okay, you've got to take this piece. And this is how I use this piece, because it's a very, very old shotgun. And it just shows our right to defend what we think, in both cases, quite actually. The upside down flag, I was in the military. I feel comfortable in hanging the flag upside down when I feel comfortable with my feelings, what my feelings are. On top of the piece with the flag is the Statue of Liberty, which is given to us by France. And as we know, the Joan of Arc was kind of burned at the stake. So the Statue of Liberty is sitting on a fire pyre. The other columns are burned and damaged and kind of held together with baling wire and tape. I've burned and scorched some of those. And this piece again, it says 5 by 5. So if anybody has any questions about it, I'd be willing to answer those at this time. And if not, we can move to the next piece.
Can I say out loud, Jenny, are you on?
Yes, hang on. Oh,
Can you, do you know?
hang on. I can't. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm having so many problems here. It's just insurmountable.
Okay. You can't project his screen by turn yours off?
I don't know how. The screen that I'm seeing is like his image in the middle. If what you're seeing is not what I'm seeing, I have no idea how to fix this.
I
Yeah,
see.
we're not
I have
seeing
absolutely
screen.
no idea what to do. I'm sorry, ladies. I
Yeah,
just don't
that's kinda
know.
why I say-
I just don't know.
I think
I just don't know.
I think maybe if you look at the lower right side of the screen with the image, there's a slider. Oftentimes there's a slider that you can use to increase the,
Well, tell me how much, because I'm full screen right now.
there's a slider at the bottom.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think if you slide that, yeah, it'll increase it.
Is that full screen for you? Because for me, it's obliterating the entire screen. I'm seeing pixelated edges. I have no idea what you're looking at, because what I'm looking at is completely.
That's not what's gonna fix it.
You have to log out of sharing
Yeah.
screen and restart it again to share screen. Here you go, just now.
Now, when you share screen, only click the, oh, nope.
I have no clue. I have no clue what to do. I can't even see what you're seeing. What you guys are seeing is something completely different than what I'm seeing.
So Jenny, you want to just send me the images and I'll do it?
Okay. Hang on, let me find them.
Don't make you walk.
Yeah,
Breathe.
don't stress out about it. We're good.
Yeah,
and Michael,
easy.
right now, what we're seeing is it looks like stacks of colored corrugated cardboard.
Probably exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Okay,
Carpet.
I know the piece. It's
Jenny, just go back and put the cursor.
yeah.
Just slide to the right. Just go back and make it all the way to
Okay,
the
hang on,
left.
sorry, now in the middle of an emailing.
Okay, you just moved the slide on the bottom right to the right, which enlarged it. But that
Yes.
did not work, so just slide it back where it was.
I know, now I've got controls in front of it, so I can't even get to it.
Let her
Sorry.
finish sending the
I'm
images to
sorry,
me,
I'm
and
sorry.
then I'll do it.
Now I can't get back to it. Now I can't get back to it.
Have you sent me the images, Jimmy?
Yes, yes.
Okay, hang on. And there's only 4?
There was 3.
I mean, 3 images?
Yes.
Plus the old one. Yeah.
Michael, I have a question. Hi,
Yeah,
this
yes.
is Sharon. So the pieces, so you started, what kind of cardboard did you form those pieces like that from the cardboard and then you painted over them? Or those are some things that you found that already had like the number 1 on it, that kind of thing?
No, it's all of that is how I work, believe it. Yeah, I do the next piece that she's talking about is a vertical stack, and it stands about probably about 6 feet tall. And I did it when the pandemic was here, and we were all, working in our studios or first kind of going in circles, and then decided, what the hell, let's go back to work. Nobody's in my studio but me anyway, so what do I care? So I would come over, I would gather things. I felt that there was a lot going on. People we could do something about the grimness of it. We could do something about the masks. We could do the sky is falling, and all of the above. We all did at some point. Yeah. So what this piece was is then I got to thinking, and I read an article where it said we were creating like 3 or 4 times as much trash as we did during the normal times. So I thought, okay, why don't we do something with the trash? Kind of like the old trash can school of the 30s and 40s. And I thought, and Rauschenberg and those guys. And I thought, okay, I'll start collecting trash. So the base of this is 3 kitty litter boxes, which works as kind of a stand. And then I just took empty food container, literally things I pulled out of dumpsters and out of the curbs, and just literally trash, mostly paper. And I created the stack of these things where I just kind of stacked them up. And I thought if I was really famous and had a whole bunch of interns, they'd probably be 20 or 30 feet tall and really say something. But I created a whole series of pieces, some that are on hang on walls. I don't think those were included, but I do have several of the pieces that I kind of refer to. I work in series, as I think a lot of us do, and I created a series of these pandemic pieces that were created mostly out of found trash in dumpsters and my own personal trash cans and things like that. Now the cardboard, I cut it up, I tear it, I like it torn. When you tear cardboard, or I should say corrugated paper, I guess actually is the official name. And when you tear the cardboard or you wet the cardboard, it does different things. And the edges that it gives with the little holes in the edges, what I like about that is if I put it on edge and I have this uneven torn edge, I can then paint that edge or paint those pieces with, I use acrylics 99% of the time. With those pieces, I can paint those edges and then paint on the different sides, and it creates a very interesting edge and texture that I use just for that particular purpose. And I use that as in a lot of my 3D pieces because I can change. Obviously, it's just straight cardboard. Or I use boxes. I'll use, I love eucalyptus leaves. Oh my God, do I love eucalyptus leaves. They make the best feathers. You can take eucalyptus leaves and put a sealer on them and they'll last forever. I mean, they're designed to last forever anyway by nature. And then if you want to create a surface on those eucalyptus leaves, they take the paint very readily or the sealer very readily, and those things will last forever. So I use them in sculptures as kind of a fur or feathers. I have a couple of pieces where I've used them as feathers on angel wings, for example, rather than real feathers.
What's the title of this piece?
This piece is called "We the People."
Can you go back to the first piece now that we have it enlarged? Is that possible?
Hang on, I'd have to hang on. Yeah, we can.
Yeah, it's called "We the People." It's painted. It's cardboard. In some cases I'll start with a box. In this case, I had a couple of kind of long, narrow boxes that I'd gotten. I store things, and a couple of these boxes were like for golf clubs or I think some finished pieces of wood and actually some French cleats that I got from a framer. I ordered some French cleats for hanging larger pieces. And these boxes are, let's say, 8x8 or 6x6, and maybe 4 or 5 feet tall. And those I just kind of taped and painted on, and then beat the heck out of them, burned them, wrapped them with wire. So I kind of, or some of the boxes I make, just totally make them. Yeah, build a box and then beat it up, depending on how I think I want to do it. I'll use them like a fin in some of my work, where I'll just put one edge down and it's kind of like a sail. I guess a sail would probably be a better
Question, please.
I don't know if we have them, but I have a whole series of things I call a totem forest, and they're tubes that I put together and then distorted the tubes and then painted them in very abstract kinds of manners. And I put a heavy base on them, and to me they are kind of they kind of represent the magical kinds of totem. They're kind of like paper totem poles, for want of a better. If you can imagine a totem pole that's made out of paper and been weathered a little bit, so there's not really wings. Well, there are wings on some of them, but they're not necessarily animals. They're just basically it'd be like taking an abstract painting. I had a painting teacher who did these. He used foot diameter tubes, Mr. Akins. And he was a painting instructor at Long Beach, or at LA State, where I went to school. And he painted on like these cylinders, large cylinders, very abstractly. And that's kind of where these come from, this kind of idea. I started, believe it or not, with toilet paper tubes.
Hey,
And
now
now
you're talking my language.
I understand that, being 85.
Is
One day
that
I was,
considered collage or mixed media or?
yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I love, yeah, I don't know that I would call, but they are collages, and I make them all different sizes. I do a whole series of very small things. This is fun. I just realized I can do this. Are you guys with me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Are you looking at me?
No,
Oh, no, your
I can
art, the
stop
first
share.
art.
Okay, see this?
Hang on. Okay, there you go.
If I do this, are you seeing this?
Yes.
Yeah, they
Yes.
should be able to see that. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, okay. This is what my studio looks like in the back.
That's my kind of studio.
Yeah.
Michael, we're gonna need to talk. You're down in my area, so
Oh, yeah.
we're gonna have to get together.
Well, that'd be great. So I
Yes.
build things that kind of look like this.
Yeah,
All
me
different,
too.
all different sizes. This is what I call my Caribbean cross.
Oh, nice.
Talk about it a little bit, Michael. What is it made of?
Well, this is cardboard. This is a piece I found that hanging. It's going to end up here on the top. These are sticks that I've collected over, just out of the trash and yard and et cetera, et cetera. These little guys says voodoo on them, and I'll bet you know the city they came from. They came from New Orleans, or as they would say, Nolans. Yeah, the base is cardboard, but I'm working on replacing those bases in some cases with I have one that's done in metal. It's upstairs in a show I'm in. This is a painting that's pretty structural. This is the harbors. I live in Long Beach. I drive back and forth over the bridge every day, and I've always wanted to do this. And I just kind of made it very abstract. And sometimes if you see those little dots there, those are containers. I think that probably comes through. And this piece is totally abstract. There's a 10-year difference, pretty much 10 years, between this piece and the piece you just saw, and they're actually the same things. These are my take on the ends of the containers that are brightly colored as I go back and forth between over the bridges through the harbor. And that's my abstract interpretation of the same as this.
Wow.
Of the containers. So that's kind of what I did. These are the little things that I make.
Yeah.
Simple, but really fun. And this is a painting I did of a class when I was in a class doing ex votos at the MoLA Museum. And so I'm all over the place, which every gallery in the world would tell you don't do. But you know what? I really don't care.
There you go.
I paint for as much. I think we all do. We move paint because we can't stop moving it, or we do sculpture or whatever it is we do. We do it because the voice won't shut up.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
And
Exactly.
I mean, really, I mean, it's. I tried to quit for probably 25 years. As life changes, and so when I was in school working, I found a woman that I was very much in love with, and she was in love with me, and we made a baby. And back then, you got married, and we were married for a long time. We had a good relationship. 70s were tough to stay married, and we ended up being the best of friends, which is probably when she passed with cancer a few years back. I mean, everything. We were so close as a family. I mean, it was the whole family was family. So it was really. We always remembered that it was about the kids, not about us. And she was a good woman, and we had a great time. But um, the whole idea, I think, of what happens sometimes is you end up getting activated in the service. You're in the Navy, you go to Vietnam, da 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 da. You come back, you do what you need to do. So for about 25, 30 years, I I wasn't painting, I wasn't creating, and I found a friend. And I got back into it a little bit at a time, and I found out, oh my God, how do I not do this? And so I got a gallery space. I was in the corporate world making a very good living, and I thought, okay, if I can find a space that's not at the house, but a space that's kind of my man cave, my kind of man cave, and if I can do it for a year, I'll find another space. And that's how I got back into it. And I've been doing it now for 25 years. And uh, I think our creativity shows up in many different ways. I think cooking, I love to
Michael,
cook. Yes.
can you see the screen now that we have? I think Dallas has a new image.
Let me see.
It's that third image that you sent.
Well, tell me what it is, and I can talk about it.
It is a painting. It's figurative, has the dots on it inside the figures.
Oh,
The
is
third
it
image.
Is it
The
a
third image that you sent.
Okay, are they pink figures and one's upside down
Yes,
and one?
Yes.
that's it.
Okay, I'm
That's
looking, it's right here. I'm looking right at it actually, live.
Yeah, that one.
That one. That's when the Aboriginal people really kind of intrigued me. And I started researching them, and I tend to be a little metaphysical. And uh, I'm an earth-based medicine kind of guy and religion kind of guy. And the idea of dream time really kind of intrigues me, and how they do their walkabouts. And I've done a series of these, and they pop up every now and then of of what might go on in their minds, or my minds or your minds, when we're in a dreamlike state. And that's why the one figure's up and the other figure's down. And inside of the one figure has another face inside of the head, the one that's on the right side, the one that appears to be right side up. And the one that's upside down has actually two shapes. It has two heads, and it has two outlines. So it's actually a figure inside a figure. And there's figures there that are sort of horse-like. There's figures there of people swimming that are upside down, that are diving into the ether, so to speak, or the ethos here. These are just kind of floating shapes. I like using circles and dots, basically because when they go on these walkabouts and when they have religious services, for themselves. When they're doing their spiritual work, they typically paint their bodies. And that's what these dots are representing. The dots to me, because these are actually fingerprints, my fingerprints. And I think the fingerprint, especially in the more primal times, fingerprints to me represent, when you go back and you see the handprint on all the fingerprints on the wall, it's like, I am here, I exist, I am a person, here is my mark. And we all want to leave our mark. I think that's one of the reasons we paint. So I often use fingerprints in my paintings just as kind of a mark of identification, as this is Michael's painting. This is part of Michael. And I tend to do that a lot. And so the fingerprints to me, or body painting to me, is a way of creating and maybe a subtle, not so subtle way, a way of drawing attention to ourselves, that we do exist, we are here for a period of time. And I want to make sure that I've let somebody know that I was here. And what the hell, maybe that's the way we paint. That's got to be part of why we paint. It's our form of making our mark. I mean, and very beautifully.
Hey,
very
Michael.
beautifully. Yes.
Michael, could you talk about the materials here? I kind of know the size, but is it paint and paper? Is it mixed media?
These are,
how'd you go about it? Yeah.
Yeah. This one, yes. Well, there's pencil on this. I use acrylic. In many cases, I'll work one over a dark ground because I like the way the acrylic kind of intensifies. Because it's a water-based paint, you can coat and coat and coat. When I started taking painting lessons when I was 9, I learned to work. We started with watercolor. I grew up in San Diego, and this lady I spent a year just filling in boxes, literally filling in boxes that she drew with light to dark, dark to light, learning how to flow paint, learning to work wet, learning to work dry, learning how to pressure on the brush. So water-based paints are really comfortable for me. And I like the thought of kind of like life is layers. And I like being able to layer and layer and layer, and then maybe scrub back and layer and create some subtleties that are kind of really transparent. Now this is charcoal. This is charcoal here. These figures are outlined, and this is pastels. This is pastel that's rubbed back into the white. This is paint. There again, this is pencil, pastel. This is paint. So I'll use just about, if I'm standing next, you saw my tables. If I'm standing at an easel next to my table and there's something there that I may be able to scratch with, or will add color to, including layering actual materials into the paint. I take and I have prints that I made of particular stuff of a particular style of painting that I call my Zen paintings. And I will take these that look like this up close, or this, and have it pixelated, have the printer pixelate it for me in some cases. So they blow it up so much that the lines start falling apart. And then I tear them up and put them back into the paintings. And as I said, you can see how I use my fingerprints in just fairly abstract work. This is about a 36 by 36 painting that's kind of abstract, but it's got a backstory. But there again, I use fingerprints in that. So the idea
how do you fix them? How do you fix them so that they're
you can't, the viewers don't mar them.
Oh, well, I use a fixative. I use a good fixative that's EV proof. I usually use a satin finish. The acrylic paint is pretty tough unto itself. It's like house paint. It's
Yeah.
a very, very expensive house paint, but
But with the pastel, that needs to be, do you spray it or brush
well,
it?
I like spraying it when I'm working with pastels like on the painting we saw here. When I'm working with a lot of pastels or charcoals or pencil, what I like to do is I'll use a fixative while I'm working, and it dries it pretty fast. And I'll smear a spot and then I'll put a fixative on it. Then I may wash over it with, and this is where I really like, it's kind of glazing. I do glaze. You can do glazing with acrylics just like you can with oils. You just thin it down, and you can buy your paint that is like titanium white is pretty thin when I work with it, but zinc white seems to be more of a heavy body paint, white. So if once you start working with your paints like that, you can start to figure out, this is a real good thing to watch. I'm trying to start to use more white in my work, instead of a dark, although I like working sometimes dark, more of a dark, instead of a dark thing. I'm trying to work with more white space, but use it like it's thin washes, like I'm washing over, and then in between those washes, maybe rub pastel in or anything, put in pieces of paper and then go back over it again and again and again. And you can do that with a fixative, like a workable fixative, or you can do it using a gel. They use, if you want to fill in the seams, maybe you're putting your paper down on a canvas, and you want to make sure that it actually sticks to the canvas. Obviously, you could use a glue, or you could use a gel, and then use that and kind of soften those edges. Yeah. So I'll try anything twice.
Twice. I like that.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I work. I think because I started watercolors, like I said before, when I was 9, and I think because I got comfortable working with that watercolor, that kind of transparency, it's really hard for me to really put a lot of canvas, a lot of texture. I mean, I can do it, but it really isn't my style. I'd rather work with layering, subtle layering, maybe over and over and over again, and develop something that looks more like that. And this is a print. The original's gone, but this is a print. So you can imagine how intense the colors were in the original. And I think sometimes I work a little bright for people, but that's kind of how I am. But
Michael, if you look at the screen, you can see Dallas has got a series of images that she's going through. The Big Graham's Dream Time, that series.
Right. Let's see. I've got.
Just look to your screen, and you can
I'm
get
looking,
to your Zoom. Yeah.
If you swipe, Michael, you can see
that one. Okay.
Yeah. So she's gone to your webpage, and there's a series of images that she's showing us of your work.
Okay. Yeah. This is Big Graham's Dream Time. This is 4 feet by 5 feet.
Wow.
This is in a woman's apartment at Lafayette in downtown Long Beach, for those of you who know. My grandmother we called Big Graham because she was about 4'10".
And this is acrylic?
This is acrylic.
Wow.
This is part of that Dreamtime series.
Uh-huh.
It's as you can see, there's snakes and lizards and birds and people floating in objects. Uh, all and they're you can see the paper, that piece, what it looks like a figure upside down with legs. Obviously, that's part of that paper I was telling you about that I've incorporated in.
Mhm.
Yeah, up a little higher. Yeah, that's painting. This is paper here on at the man's hip on the other side. Um, this was this to me is how we dream. And my grandmother lived to be 94 and just had just the best stories. She was an excellent businesswoman. Her husband died. My grandfather, who I never knew, died 4 years before I was born. And she never remarried, but she ran a business till she was 75. She sponsored people from below the border. Oh, yeah, I was going to talk about this one. I've had cancer a couple times. This is the first time I found out I had a pretty serious form of cancer, and I thought, maybe I should just go down and paint about it. When 9/11 happened, I was working for the fire department, not in New York City, but I was a fireman for years. And I did a painting about 9/11 where the buildings were crying and were weeping, and as were the people. But um, that one I did very therapeutically. This is a therapeutic painting. Um, we all know about the circle and the man. And on this, for surgery on me, I had colon cancer. For surgery on me, they use a device called the Da Vinci. So so I thought, okay, and it's done remotely. They apparently, the doctor apparently works, it's kind of like, I guess I'm not a game player and I'm not a computer guy, but I guess that's how it works. You have these remote devices that you're actually working while the computer, they just put a small hole in you and this thing is inside you doing what it needs to do, including stitching you up, I guess. So it's pretty magical. It's pretty magical. So the idea of the figure, and there again, I'm talking about humanity, so we're all represented by the different colored arms. The figure is magically golden, and it has a gold halo around it because it's what's going to fix me. And the ring around that is, to me, is the ring of life. From and kind of the medicine wheel from Southwest Indian lore and spirituality. The pink body, and there's numbers. If you look at this, there's numbers underneath in the gray area around Da Vinci's painting, and those are the stages of cancer. There's 1 through 4. The line underneath, which is I think that was pencil actually, or charcoal, represents the 4 directions, which is part of my spirituality from the Indians, from the first American side. The pink figure is, with this figure on top of me, is the Da Vinci doing its work. That's me as on the hospital bed. The other figures, the one that's red with the yellow and all the bright spots, is a sick me. That's me with cancer. The brown figure with all the dots there again, taking that Dreamtime thing, is me feeling shitty. The dark figure with the legs coming down is the possible ending of this whole situation. That is me ascending, which I'm planning on, to wherever we go. And the white figure running is a healthy me, which is what I am now. So that's what that represents to me. It is not for sale. And I sold a 9/11 piece. Although I think the person, I told him I wasn't going to sell it, and he just kept raising the price. And I realized later that he had somebody who had died there, and the money he was well enough off that the money wasn't an issue. And I thought, okay, he gets to have it because I've had it a while. So now this one is this one is at a house in Montecito, and it's it's us people, us man, and we're underneath. You see the figures there again. It's the dreamtime kind of manifestation, and we're laying basically on magic carpets so that we can be taken on a journey. And they're head to head because they're a couple, but they're also each other. It's the masculine side and the feminine side that exists within us both. That's what that painting is about. I like that. Yes.
I love these paintings. I love the imagery and the quality that you get with the paint. I'm curious, do you how much of this do you plan out, like drawing before you start, or do you just kind of go with it and where it is?
Yes. But that doesn't mean it's going to end up where I started, even when I'm drawing. The cancer one that we talked about usually when I'm doing figures, I do a sketch. And I'm thinking about something and I'm doing a sketch. The big Graham's dream time, she used to tell me these wonderful stories, and I would dream about what she was saying later as a kid. But I had an image as I was doing this, and there was a spot there that of something in that painting reminded me of a woman sitting, and I made it a rocking chair. That came out of the painting. The figures that I use are not truly representational. I mean, they are figures, but they're not. I don't want the figures to be people who say, well, the nose doesn't look quite right, or is that his face, or I want the figures to represent figures, but without a identification, so to speak. I try to make them, in many cases, asexual. I have done figures that are obviously male and female. I have a painting of what I call kind of Genesis or Adam and Eve, where they're connected at the hip. These two figures are connected at the hip, and he has a feminine leg, and she has she has a very masculine arm, and so it's kind of that we're really, if you take all our clothes off, we kind of all look alike. I remember in Reader's Digest, for those of you who remember, I was reading one of the jokes they had in Reader's Digest. I must have been 12 or 13, for God's sakes. And it's like two kids are looking through a hole in a nudist colony. And one kid says to the other kid, because there's only one hole, are there men or women in there? And the kid says back, I don't know, they don't have any clothes on. And I've loved that joke. I've loved that forever. I mean, I think that is just so true of kids. I don't know. I can't tell.
Yeah.
They don't have any clothes on.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I want my figures to kind of be, unless I'm deliberately doing a painting of Michael or a painting of Lynn, my wife, or I mean, if I'm doing something, but when I'm using them as in a like a dreamtime kind of situation, I I don't give them typically I don't give them eyes, I don't give them a nose. They're just it's a head and four arms and a like a balloon body, you know, because I think that that says what I need it to say, but it doesn't become the point of attention. The point of attention is what's it about? What's the artist trying to tell me? What is the story he's trying to tell us? What is I I think we're all kind of storytellers. I don't care if you're doing the most beautiful, faux realistic painting in the world. And there's a woman in here, Jan, who just beautiful landscapes. And James, who if when he wants to paint that way, he's got a series of Yosemite pictures. You can't tell in the wintertime, you can't tell if it's a photograph or a painting. I mean, but there's still something there, and you sense it. You know, we can because we're creators, and we see things differently. We think about things differently. We know things that other people don't know. I don't, you know, can't kid me. I know we know things other people just the way we think about when we look out at the world or we read a book. We just, you know, how many of you have read a book and go, oh God, I'd love to illustrate that. I've got a book, I got an author who's one of my patron saints, Nikos Kazantzakis, who wrote, you know, Zorba the Greek and The Last Temptation of Christ and just a whole series of books. And I would love to illustrate some of his books. His words are just luscious, you know, and you can just see what he does. I think Chagall does that. I mean, those things he has just reminds me of dreams or of an illustration for a book. There's just things that we do and we see and how we feel that some people just don't get us. Yeah, that's okay. But I think that's a gift that God would, however you want to spell it, gave us, you know, however you want to spell it. And I think that's what makes us unique. If we look at color, I can just get excited about taking a large brush and a large canvas and just taking that first starting to fill in a background or okay, I'm going to do an abstract painting and we're just going to let it come to us. You know, we're just going to go with it and see where we go. And as I start to do that, or I squirt it on and I take a squeegee to it, whatever, I can't think of anything else for the next, who knows how long. You know, you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. It just,
do.
you know, the hair comes up in my arms when I start thinking about things like that. It's just like, it is just, the gift we get is so damn cool. And the chance we get to practice it, and as long as we're around, nobody can take that from us. I don't care who they think they are. They can't take that from us. And I'm 85. I'm full of piss and vinegar. I love being here. I ain't going anywhere. I'll wait the son of a bitch in the White House. He doesn't know what, you know, he's old. We're not. You know, I mean, it's true. It's true. And we forget that, you know, we've got wisdom and thoughts and the way of looking at life that people just don't imagine sometimes. They can't imagine it.
Yeah.
You know,
So true.
it's like eating the best oatmeal cookie you've ever had in your entire life. You know, it's I'm an oatmeal cookie guy, you know.
But you're not old. You just said that. He's old. The one
Yeah.
in the White House, the dimension.
Oh, this one? Okay, that one, I'm looking at it's over my head here. This one doesn't exist anymore. I do work over paintings. The first one, the green one, I call these my Zen paintings. And, you know, it carries I have a way of kind of dragging one series sometimes into another series, either by cutting up the papers, which is what this is. I started out doing these just kind of as an exercise, and I lay down a base coat or a couple of 3 areas of, and this one happens to be mostly red and orange, and the other one was green. And I lay those colors down, and then I start working with colors that I'm comfortable with laying on top of it. They may in some cases be antagonistic, or they may be very complementary with intent. And I use the same brush. I make the same side. I try to make virtually the same length stroke. So, and depending on the painting, they might be 3 inches. It could be smaller, but I use so I can put kind of a sharp edge on it if I want, or flare it if I want to do that with the brush. And I just keep making these paintings until it tells me, Michael, we're full, we're good. And sometimes, we don't know when that is sometimes, but it'll tell us if we live it. It's like eating a big meal. Oh, I ate too much. So, so if we take the piece and we set it aside for a little bit, which we all do, and okay, I'm going to go back and look at it now, or I'm just going to hang it on the wall. And if there's an area that starts to talk to me, I'll know what to do with it. And so that's what these kind of paintings are to me, is they're kind of Zen. It allows me just to think very simply about the color, and that's about it, because the brush is the same, the canvas is usually square or a rectangle, and the stroke of the brush is about the same. And I'm pretty good with color. I think that's one of my strengths. And so I just start making these strokes, and when there gets to be too many, then you've got a problem, and sometimes that happens. And what I've done with some of this is now I'm starting to use these as a base coat, or as a starter for an urban landscape series that I'm doing. And this is, I don't think I showed you this one. This is another big one. This is 4x5, and you can see the big variation.
Turn the camera.
Oh, I'm sorry. There you are.
Oh, hello.
And I call this Betty's Path. Betty was the mother of a good friend of mine, who's an architect, and she lives in Tennessee. And I checked in with him, and she's still doing good, and she's in her 90s. But she asked me to do a painting for her commission, and I started doing something, and she goes, "Oh no, Michael, I'm really not fond of that." So I did something more abstract, which she loves, and she had over her fireplace. But this is a path I started on to make a painting for Betty, so this became Betty's Path. And there again, it's kind of where I started doing some things where I started incorporating them back into art, or into a transitional piece. This one up here, you can see the lower right-hand corner has got a piece that I cut out and literally taped it to the painting. It has figures all over it. This is a Dreamtime. This is kind of a cross between 3 different series, but it's very abstract. There's figures all through it. One of them looks like he's got a canoe or a surfboard. He's getting ready to travel, I guess. But I don't know if you can see it, but I can see there's about 10 figures in there. The guy in the top he's got a red hose connecting to him, is based on a conversation that Armstrong, the astronaut, had with a tribal chief when he was in Australia. And he was telling the chief, he said, he said, "I've been to the moon," and the chief said back to him, "Yeah, me too." And of course, they'd gotten there different ways. He'd gotten there through Dreamtime, and obviously Armstrong was up there for the walk. But so I use this kind of hatching, cross hatching as an actual basis. And now I'm doing what I call urban landscapes, kind of combining them all, a lot of the stuff I've been doing on the ways I paint together into a piece. So this is kind of where I'm at. This is, I think this may be the last or the close to the last painting I've done. So
Uh-oh.
I was wondering if you said
Yay.
that.
Lose it.
Whoa.
What happened this time?
I suspect he may have run out of juice.
Yeah, he lost
Well-
his connection somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll probably be back, but what a wonderful
I'm here.
presentation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, here he is.
There he
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
But it looks like,
Thank you,
yeah, it looks
Dallas.
like it says your video is stopped, done speaking. And I went, no, I'm not. So there you go.
Well, it is close to time, Michael, but let's see if you have the time, if there are any more questions.
I do have one question, and it's actually not necessarily related to art, but I have a favorite composer whose name is also Michael Stearns, and I just wondered if it's you.
I'm sorry, can you tell me that again?
I have a very favorite musician, composer, whose name is the same as yours, and I just wonder if it's you.
Oh, no.
Oh,
No, I am not that Michael Stearns.
Okay.
It's really funny because, you know, when I first started, I love his music, by the way.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and he and I think, get each other's stuff sometimes because I'll see somebody come in and I thought, you know, somebody will come in on like a Facebook or something like that, and they'll allude to talking to him. But I think it's probably more the other way around. I think I get more people that are looking for him that bump into me. So,
Okay.
yeah. But no, I am not that Michael Stearns. And I'm not the guy that makes the mattresses either.
That one I had turned off.
Neither is he. But yeah, so it's a more common name than I thought, you know, when I was a kid than I thought. So there you go.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
I just-
Any last questions before I stop recording? Don't think I see any hands up. Okay, I think.
And for those of you who live in or near Long Beach, I'm opening up my home for the Long Beach Art Tour on the last weekend of the month, the 25th and
Okay, cool.
25th and 26th. My house is open. I live in the kind of the Shore Heights. I'm right off of Broadway by the Catholic Church. I'm on Argonne, 254 Argonne.
Okay, wonderful.
Good to know. I'll see ya.
Okay.
It's a wonderful
I'm going
showplace.
to end the recording now.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for allowing
Thank you,
me to
Michael.
speak.
Thank
You're
Thank
very
you.
welcome.
Thank you,
chat.
Michael.
Thank you. Very welcome.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on, Joan has her hand up.
I'm
What?
just saying, look at your chats before you disconnect.
Oh, yeah, so Joan says thank you very much there. So,
Oh yeah, look in the chat, Michael, if you can get there.
Okay.
We techno geniuses of the
Yeah. Now
early
you're back.
generation.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, everybody. For
Who invited Michael? Who's responsible for asking him?
I am.